TVA wants to let us know that the meeting's being recorded for legal purposes. That being said,
Y'all stay good now, you hear?
welcome everybody to Geek Boots Military Nerds. Here at Geek Boots, we like to tell you all about the big green weenie and how it likes to continue to fuck us. Like trying to hit the snooze button on your alarm, but that wasn't part of the TVA's plan.
You were supposed to oversleep.
As was
That's
that part of
not
it?
okay. Yeah, the
What?
TVA is like watching all of my cables.
So let's say something fell. I'm like, was that part of the TVA's plan? Clearly. Oh man. As always, make sure you check us out on all of our platforms here on Geek Boots. We got YouTube, we got Spotify, we got Podbean, we got iTunes, we got Amazon, we got
Your mama's
your
backside.
mom's backside. I'm sure there's others, but we just wanted to say that because it's funny to say. Make sure you check us out on Patreon. This week we'll not have our supporters giving love, but that is okay because the questions we are deciding to discuss on this episode are pretty in depth. So we want to give as much time to that as humanly possible because
Ooh,
Loki was a very
lot.
filled. Yeah, there was a lot involved with Loki, especially with the MCU. So we're going to give it as much attention as humanly possible. That is what this week's episode is all about. But if you check out Patreon and sign up, you get to be a part of the show. Basically, you get to have a chance to have your question here on the show. We get to discuss it. It's essentially you asking us our opinions. You know, fueling our vain desire to be wanted and loved like celebrities. Transferring over, we're gonna start talking about people that support this channel, comic shops, and anything else. Mill Geeks Comics and Collectibles in the Pacific Northwest, Western Washington, always giving us love. Thank you to Mill Geeks Comics and Collectibles in the Mill Creek area. Mayan Goddess.
Huge shout out to Frank and Sons for providing a variety of options for fans of all kinds, whether it's anime, comics, baseball, sports. If you're interested in pretty much any hobby, Frank and Sons has what you were secretly looking for. They're also providing vaccines, which is a huge, awesome thing for them, and they've been trailblazing what we will be seeing in the conventions now. So thank you to them for paving the way for us through this giant pandemic scare.
Hell yeah. And since we're in the spirit of Loki, I am going to give a shout out to an affiliate of mine here on this channel, Alehorn, alehorn.com. Alehorn.com makes incredible American-made Viking drinking horns of all different types. You can get a shot ale horn, like a tiny little ale horn. You can get one of these bad boys. They have coffee ale horns specifically designed so that you can fit hot coffee in them. That's fucking awesome. And as you can see, this is I got BRCC put on this ale horn. You can get custom ale horns. I don't know the scope of their
Ooh,
skills or what they're capable of doing, but I've seen them put Baby Yoda on one. So
I'd
get
be here for
yours.
that.
I will be dropping my discount code in the description of this episode on all of our platforms. So make sure you check out that link and browse around, see if something sparks your interest. Awesome gear, awesome t-shirts over at alehorn.com. That being said, let's dive in to Loki. Okay, we're gonna get into the easier question, the favorite episode and why. Mayan, I'm gonna throw it to you first.
Honestly, the what was it? The scene where they're discovering where Sylvie's hiding. I want to say it was
Oh.
episode 2, and like they get to go to like basically all of these like catastrophic events,
Mhm.
and they're able to find her. That was really unique and interesting, and kind of seeing like how time was working in the TVA. You got to see a lot of really fun details. Um, a close second would probably be the penultimate episode when they're
Mm,
on the not necessarily the edge of time, but he gets to meet like all of the other Loki variants.
yeah.
That was a lot of fun, and probably one of my favorite Loki variants was the old classic Loki, and seeing just his character arc. It was really beautifully done, and it was only one episode. I wish I could have seen more.
I love that somebody put a TikTok together of Wanda creating her own little TV world. And they're all
Mhm.
like, okay, but hold on. And then they put on Gangster's Paradise, and fucking old man Loki is creating all of fucking Asgard around him.
I loved it.
I was like, what? By the
My
way,
favorite of that was someone put that scene to the soundtrack of, or put that scene to Let It Go. I was like,
nice.
oh,
Yeah,
that's the
that works
crossover I
too.
need.
Yes. By the way, spoiler alert to anybody who has not watched Loki.
Oh yeah, surprise!
Surprise.
Go watch it. Why the
Yeah,
fuck are you watching
as
us?
yeah, right. As our age old buddy would say, J4 props, much love to him. If you haven't watched it yet, catch up. um yeah, all good things. I think my favorite episode ultimately was definitely when he was really involved in the world of these other Loki variants, and where this smoke like entity is eating up where everybody goes when they get what was the word that they called it when they would hit somebody with the sticks, erased or whatever, but they called it something else. um I
Oh
loved it
God.
because there are so many Easter eggs in the episode, little nods to something, some way, shape, or form. For instance, when Morbius, uh, Mobius, whatever,
Mobius.
Mobius, he says, "Hold on, I'm gonna turn left." He turns right, which is, in my opinion, a nod to Cars,
Mhm.
because you got to turn left if you want to go right. So, um, and then if you watch carefully when they're climbing down into the shelter, you see Frog Thor.
Frog Thor, yeah.
So there's so many little Easter eggs, and to me, these aren't just Easter eggs. I think this is ultimately the MCU and all of its leadership's response to what ifs, and not only that, but how to explain um, something that doesn't fit continuity between movies, or things that people have brought up and they're like, well, why isn't this a part of this series? And while yes, we can talk about the fact that this is the universe called the MCU as opposed to like Earth 616 or something, um this whole entire thing, especially leading up to the big finale, is the MCU's way of saying this is the reason why you haven't seen any of that. However, we've been close to hint them. So that's why I love that episode so much, because it was a lot of answers and a lot of storytelling in and of itself, especially Loki's character building within that episode. Because one of my favorite scenes in that episode is when all the Lokis are having this freaking gangs of New York's kind of fight go down kind of thing
Hmm.
in that fucking bunker, and Loki's just sitting there like looking
This is what
left.
I fucking do.
This is me. Wow, I really need to change. Like,
I really like that they gave a lot of nods to comics, because if you look through like Loki's progression in the comics, he's fucking wild.
yeah,
So like to
seriously,
get to see all those nods, and even not even just Loki himself, but like Marvel Comics has some wild shit, and it's awesome. So
seriously,
it was a really beautiful homage.
yeah, totally. Oh my god. Speaking of the variants, if you could have a spin-off of a Loki variant, who would it be? I think you already kind of answered this one,
Yeah, I was
didn't
about to say the old
you?
dude, because like just kind of seeing him trying to like run and survive, because he did kind of allude to that.
Hmm.
Um, that I think would have been really, really awesome to watch.
Yeah.
I think also the Gator Loki, like, come on, like he's freaking awesome.
Bites that guy's hand off. That was fucking hilarious. Which again, a nod to the comics.
Hmm.
um, I gotta go with Kid Loki. His
Yes.
storyline is soaked in a very telling story, because he has done the thing that all Lokis have only ever talked about. So I would
Mm-hmm.
like to see the drama embellish him and envelop. Words are hard.
Envelop him? Is that
That
what you're trying to say?
that's the word. Yeah,
I'm
thank
here.
you.
The Marine will teach you English. Like, come on.
Sometimes you got to bring
Yeah.
it back to the crayons.
No.
ABCs. No, and then just watch it go into killing Thor and then watch his life running from then because he was like one of the first that they picked up. So to see his storyline with these other Lokis and finding these other Lokis would be very fascinating um, to go through. I would love
I,
to see a spin-off of that.
I think it would be fun to see him kind of escape and kind of become like one of the young Avengers. Because I'm not gonna lie, I think that's where Marvel is going at this point.
Oh,
Like
100%.
like making this new generation. I think that that would be awesome. And yeah, it now that the multiverse is canon, essentially, I think that would be a really, really good take.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, especially when, okay, so when we first reveal who the quote unquote evil Loki is, Sylvie, her name is Sylvie. Um, I had to Google. I was like, okay, is she an OG character that we're creating for all of this, or is she real? Sometimes, sometimes these film universes do this. Like for instance, The Walking Dead. Daryl Dixon isn't a real character; they just created him for that purpose. Um, and I looked into it, and it turns out that not only is she real, she becomes a member of the Avengers later on in her life. So Sylvie
Hmm.
is very real, and yeah, I would 100% love to see that happen. I would love to see that she decides to go down that road, especially an act of redemption, if you all things considered, because holy shit.
Yeah, I think so. For those who don't know, Sylvie ends up becoming Enchantress. Um,
Mm.
and so I was kind of waiting for them to announce her as Enchantress because in my head I was like, wait, like I remember thinking like she's not Loki, she's Enchantress. Like as soon as she said Sylvie, so I was like, okay, this isn't really like another level of narcissistic incest here. This is Enchantress. But then like they started calling her Loki. Like in the ultimate episode, spoilers, um, they call her Loki. And I was just like, fuck. Like, so she's not Enchantress, but she is, but she's not, but she is, but what?
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, no.
I was waiting for that to be like, oh, Loki's been duped all along. It's Enchantress, not Loki. Like that would have been really cool, but it didn't happen. So
Yeah, especially when
fan theory
she kept going.
gone.
Yeah, because she kept going on and on and on about stop calling me Loki. I'm not Loki. I hate that name. And
Hmm.
I'm like, Huntress? Because it would make sense considering her mission at the beginning of the show, what she's been trying to do. She's been hunting this stuff down. So might as well call her the Enchanted. Oh, I'm sorry. Her skill set. I don't know why I went with Huntress. That's DC Comics. Let
It's
me
okay. We're here for you.
let me not be Joe
All
Biden for
types of
5 minutes.
fans are welcome here.
Let me not pull a Joe Biden for 5 minutes. Much love. Not to get into like that kind of talk. I'm just saying you cannot deny that that anyway. No, the Enchantress. Her big thing is to enchant people. So why
Hmm.
the fuck not call her the Enchantress?
I was
Anyway,
waiting for that. I was really waiting for that. I was hoping like,
or at the
because that
very
would have been a
least,
cool like twist at the end.
what if
But yeah,
during the dialogue Kang was like, "And you're like an enchantress of sorts with your powers," and I'd have been like, "Well, at least there's that." Like,
yeah. But it was like, I'm you, Loki, and I was just like, okay.
oh man, yeah.
By the way,
Um,
if you want to let us know what you think of the whole Enchantress Loki thing, let us know in the comments.
right. Um, before we go into this next question, here's an interesting question that just got brought up to my attention because our Marine Mayan goddess just brought this to my attention about the whole, yeah, the incest narcissism, right? I don't know about the Marines, but in the Army, this question ended up getting around, and it's very offensive and very funny. So brace for impact. But
Okay.
when you're bored, this is the thing that the army liked to talk about, especially with the units I was in. If you had a the only way to describe it is a clone, but it is a perfect copy of you, meaning even down to the fucking fingerprints. It is you. You have another you. If you were to engage in sexual acts with it, is it intercourse sex or is it masturbation?
It would be murder because I can't stand myself. Like, excuse you.
But no,
Sorry, but no, like there. I don't know. I feel
because
like.
by the
I mean, that would
definitions,
kind of be like fucking your twin.
except it's the
Like,
perfect copy of you down to the fingerprints. If it's an identical twin, it has a different set of fingerprints and a different mentality. But if it's you, it
it
is
would still
100%
like
you.
ethically be no because I
Well, of
know
course
there's
it's
some.
ethically no. It's a fucking army question. It's ethically
Well,
no.
no, like it wouldn't be masturbation. I would still call it incest. Because
Exactly.
yeah,
But so like okay, so like the definition of sex is i- physical intercourse with a
if I'm
person,
sticking my hole into, or
but
if I'm
mass
letting someone stick their hole in my hole, or if I'm like swashbuckling or whatever, like no, no, no. I'm
but
tapping meat. It's incest.
the definition of masturbation is sexual intercourse with oneself, sexual acts with oneself.
I'm
So
slapping meat. Meat is meat.
that
Let me be
so the
that
there you
narcissistic
go, ladies and gentlemen.
asshole. Meat is meat.
This Marine says it's intercourse.
Slapping meat.
I don't have an
I don't care what
answer
the I don't care what the
because
hole is. Any hole is a goal. It's slapping meat. It's
oh
incest.
shit. So is Loki going to masturbate or is he going to have sex with himself?
Okay, let's put it this way. I think after being betrayed, I think he's like, I fucking hate me.
Okay, so if you were in Sylvie's place, what decision would you make when you meet Kang? And if it was all the same circumstances, here's the very in depth question, big debate time. What would you do?
I probably would have. I I hate to say it, but I probably would have done the same thing. I probably wouldn't have gotten all emotional and stuff. I probably would have been okay with killing Loki because at her point, that was her life. Like she had
Yeah,
spent decades doing that. Like she's what, like probably in like her 20s, maybe 30s,
yeah,
and she got taken like as a kid. That was
yeah,
her whole life. That was her whole mission. That's like saying, hey, you spent your whole time trying to like join the military, um and you're at the final steps and someone's like, hi, can I give you a kiss instead?
yeah.
Like, no, dude. Like I would do it. I would have committed. I would have done the same thing as her.
I love that it took you all of 5 seconds to give that answer.
I mean,
I
do I appreciate what she did? No,
no.
but at the same time, like that was her life goal.
You
She
know
spent her
who
life doing that. Of course.
who really doesn't appreciate what she did? Doctor fucking Strange sitting there having himself an ice cream. All of a sudden, oh, the multiverse of madness. Interesting. But we'll get into that in a minute. My
Which, by
response.
the way, hold up. Doctor Strange's whole power, like he gets power from other dimensions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like it's more so like, dude, you just fucked with my power supply.
Yeah.
Like, the fuck is wrong with you, dude?
Um. The big thing that I bring into this question that I have to think about is the fact that why can no one ever learn to not trust the enemy, not trust the bad guy, like ever on any level? So and I bring this up as a when King first offers them a deal to give them anything they want on and sitting there trying to talk them down basically, and I can't help but just go, okay, I don't trust you like at all, but I also need to be patient about this. I would want to have patience. I would want to actually take the Loki route and listen to Loki at first because I have to really ultimately ask myself, would it be fucking worth it? Would it be worth such a cataclysmic event just to get my vengeance? Um, I don't think my emotions would be in check, so I think that I would have to like have to hold myself back, and at the end of the day, I think my ultimate decision would be torture the fucker, but not kill him. He obviously is not as skilled of a fighter as I am, since I have Sylvie in this, for instance. And yeah, I'd probably just torture him. I mean, I'm the fucking enchantress. I'm gonna put him into a world I want to put him into instead of killing him. That would be the ultimate fuckery, and then I would take his spot without having to take any of the ultimate responsibility because he still is around, and he'd be there whenever I fucking need to activate him.
So you'd make Kang your
My
sex slave.
my bitch, yes.
Okay.
I'd make that
Okay.
fucker my bitch. Are you kidding me? Slave, choker and all. Fuck yeah. And a big leather suit. Might even go with a full-on gimp. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
Just
yeah,
imagining like King on all fours on a leash, like, hi, hi, Enchantress, how you doing?
I really doubt that he would say those kinds of things as
He
a
would
gimp.
not. He absolutely would not.
He would be more like I would make him want to be like Channing Tatum in This Is the End, jumping out of the fucking bus, ass up in the air, and then when he reveals his face, he'd be like, hey guys, what's up? What's going
I
on?
feel like I will say this though. I feel like no matter what, I mean, Sylvie was essentially playing like World of Warcraft, essentially, just like going in as a tank. And Kang's playing chess, like the ultimate chess.
Hmm.
So like it's two completely different ballparks. And I think had they coordinated and worked together and like came towards some consensus,
Yeah,
they probably would have taken over the timeline completely. And Sylvie would have had her happy ending. But
emotions.
once you get into that mindset, like once you go code red, like it just nothing will change your mind.
Yeah, seriously. On the plus side, uh, Loki's alive now, technically.
Yeah.
That being said, another big ultimate question to discuss: what do we think this means for the MCU?
I think everything we built up to at this point now means nothing. Because now, thanks to the multiverse conundrum, everything that could have happened and has been avoided is happening now.
Yeah,
And that's the whole point of the what if verse, which by the way, spoilers for what I'm doing next. But like, yeah. So now we have these timelines where the Avengers won. We have these timelines where the Avengers lost. We have these timelines where uh, like Captain didn't get the serum. We have timelines where he did. We have these timelines where Captain goes back or he doesn't go back. Like we have all of these opportunities now open to us. But that also means everything that we've invested in, everything that we find good
mm,
is pointless.
yeah.
Like all the hard work that the Avengers did in Endgame both happened and did not happen.
They just retcon themselves.
Yeah. And I think one of two things are going to happen. Either this next phase is going to be how do we repair it
Mm,
and get back into a timeline that is solid, right?
sure.
Or it's how do we embrace the chaos,
Yeah.
you know? And I think like it's going to be really interesting to see where what if takes it because now it's like all of those possibilities are now canon. It's going to be interesting to have Spider-Man No Way Home because multiverse is going to have something to do with it. It's going to be interesting to see the
Toby
next Doctor
Maguire.
Strange and how that's going to go, right? And like even down to the Eternals, like I think that may have to do with why the Eternals are about to matter because it's like, hey, we've been sitting back and now all of a sudden fucking everything is happening.
Right.
Like
By the
we need
way,
to step in.
interesting segue. Can I just say that the trailer dialogue kind of confuses me? So let me get this straight. The Eternals goes on to say, um, something about not intervening with history, but then it also goes on to saying guiding them. and helping them. And I'm like, man, you can't fucking do both. Like,
Like you can, well, the way it works, so in the Eternals, they've guided, like they've done little nudges here and there, but like there have been people who go a little bit too far and are like, no, this isn't going to happen. I'm going to stop it.
mhm,
Um, like with Gilgamesh, he's known as, I think it's either the Forgotten One or the other one, something like that.
mhm,
And it's because he intervened too much and basically got shunned. Same thing with Thena. Like she's a warrior and she ends up, kind of in the same
yeah,
conundrum essentially that Gilgamesh could do, you know. But anyway, Gilgamesh gets yeeted from the family and all this stuff, and now it's like, oh, we should probably step in now.
right.
Now,
Took you
granted,
long
I
enough.
don't know how they're gonna translate it into movie format, but it's gonna be really interesting to see.
Yeah,
So yeah, like in the Eternals, like they guide, they nudge, but they're not supposed to, stop catastrophes because it's like it's not our place. We're just here to observe and guide. And if someone wants to fuck around with that, that was just meant to be. That's how the timeline's supposed to work.
sure, right. But back onto this topic. So,
Sorry,
I mean,
I digress.
yeah, the
I get
the
excited about the Eternals.
yeah, I'm excited too. Anyway,
I'm honestly really excited about the Eternals, not just because of like how they're gonna like feed them through, but because that is probably the most globally um, diverse cast I've seen in any Marvel um, cast lineup ever. I think at this point,
mhm,
like, because up until recently we had like a lot of people from a specific region, or predominantly, let's not get into it, but like predominantly from like one region.
yeah,
Whereas with the Eternals, you have people from like different cultures, different backgrounds, um, different areas, and so to kind of see that, I think at least for me as like a person of color, even though I'm like a nice ashy color right now, like it really just it's exciting to see that kind of progression, not
yeah.
only at like as a story, as not only as a storyline, but as like as a movie.
Hmm. I'm just really excited to see Angelina Jolie as an internal. I think that's gonna be fucking awesome. That's gonna be great. Back to what this means for the
Sorry.
MCU. um,
I get excited, I'm gonna get it myself, excuse me.
to me, it's a lot of common sense when the title of Doctor Strange's movie is the multiverse of madness,
Hmm.
and then whatever happened to Loki. So two things I think are going to obviously happen. So people are saying, "Oh, well, that makes Kang the big bad of the next MCU chapter series," and while that is potentially possible, I think that another ultimate response is that Kang is going to be the next big bad for. That's going to be the big bad for Doctor
Oh yeah.
Strange, obviously. I'm not going to go so far as to say that the next series for MCU is going to be Kang, because a lot of people have already talked about potentially Galactus coming into play, especially when the everything that has happened in Loki, what we're about to witness in Doctor Strange, because they have confirmed
Hmm.
multiple times in interviews that the X-Men and Deadpool are going to be dropped as a small moment in this movie, and then
Hmm.
ultimately Deadpool 3 is what's going to introduce X-Men and Fantastic Four and everything into the MCU. It's going to be Deadpool three's movie that ultimately does this. I don't know if it's going to be a big motion picture kind of thing, or it's Deadpool is going to do his thing in his life, and we're going to go from talking about the fact that the X-Men exist, around him, into now we're talking about the Avengers, which again, kind of ultimately possible considering in Deadpool 2, he literally told Cable, pump the hate breaks Thanos. So it's like, I'm sorry, you're talking about the ultimate big fourth wall breakage guy. I mean, it's going to happen, but to see the environment potentially around him be a lot of Avengers heavy, maybe Avengers Tower coming into play, things of that nature. That's what Loki is to me, honestly. I think Loki was the first page before, like the prologue, before going into all of these steps that bring these guys finally into the MCU. So, very excited about that. I think that we need to also remember Wanda and everything happening with Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Someone did a video of it, you can literally line up these two moments that happened between the end credit scene of
Yes.
WandaVision and the moment when Kang just has this moment where he's talking about how it started, because he can sense her power. I think that we need to remember Wanda is learning from a book of very evil, dark magic, and we need to take that into account, and that hope maybe Wanda will either introduce the big bad for the next series of the MCU, or maybe it's just going to be Wanda. They have to take down Wanda.
I honestly think like, so by the end of the movie, or by the end of the movie, by the end of the TV series for WandaVision, I um I honestly think that Wanda is not a good person at
No.
this point. Um, like, and I kind of feel bad because I really liked Agatha more by the end of this series, where it was just like we're seeing a villain being created right now.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that for me, is something that I'm looking forward to seeing going forward, because we usually see villains as like they're they're naturally evil, they're designed to be evil, they're evil.
Yeah.
So to kind of see someone go from hero to villain so like over such a long period of time,
Mhm.
it is really exciting. And yeah, like I remember by the end of WandaVision, I was like, dude, I don't like her. Like
Mar
she's bad.
it's
Like especially the scene where like all the villagers,
mhm.
like
They're all
they
in
they break out of
pain.
their hex
Yeah.
and they're like, dude, I'm in pain. Like please make it stop. And she just I was like,
Yeah, I can fix this. So you actively know what you're doing and you don't care, you want to continue it. Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, no. It's it's the age-old conversation we've been having since we started talking about WandaVision earlier on. By the way, if you're continuing to listen at this point, make sure you check out that episode. Um you save the world, you serve the world, and what does the world do for you in return? Nothing. But yeah, for Wanda specifically, I mean, I'm getting into Peaky Blinders right now. Um, and for most part, what I can tell is the reason why these guys decided to create this gang, this mob, is because they served in World War I and they came home and they're not getting help. They fought their country. Look, here's a medal.
mm-hmm.
Now fuck off. That's that's how big government likes to do it, ladies and gentlemen. There's your big ultimate big green weenie. And I want to love Wanda because she's got a good heart, but her heart is just bathed and suffused with wanting vengeance essentially
A
for her
good
broken
heart
race.
in a good heart that's pushed in the wrong direction
Yeah.
can lead to chaos.
Yeah. And
I
when
mean, think about like every enemy in real life, like we always think we're doing the right thing.
mhm,
We always think we're right. And we may not realize that, hey, maybe we're the bad guy in this situation. But
yeah.
you keep barreling down this path, and just the right nudge in the wrong direction can turn you into a monster.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we see in that show. And same thing with Loki, where it's like he loves chaos. He loves he's just he loves to have fun, you know?
He
And
wants to help, but he's also in for himself too. So he's looking at
yeah,
every possible angle just to help himself.
so like if you think about it, like the way that I think about Loki in that final episode, it was just like Loki was pushed by, essentially himself. But I mean, Sylvie was driven
Yeah.
and Loki was there to help. And it wasn't until it was too late that he tried to change it, that he
Yeah.
realized that he was in the wrong, or he realized that, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea. So that to me, it speaks volumes to see like just how like the right nudge in the wrong direction can just lead to terrifying things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So a lot of things going on. I think another fascinating point. Now, I know that there have been other little moments hinted throughout the Marvel's comic book universe, like in Civil War II, Captain Marvel versus Iron Man and Captain America. There was a moment within that comic book series where you do get to see the quote unquote cleanup crew after the Avengers went toe to toe with some big bad. So that exists, but I think Marvel's cinematic universe, specifically, since I'm not fully involved with Marvel's comic books, I think Marvel's cinematic universe is going into more of a realistic approach towards superheroes. Again, with whole battling mental health being the topic, and that's not something that always happens with Marvel because usually that's DC Comics.
Yes. So
So it's very entertaining and interesting to watch unfold.
yeah, I like the direction that they're going,
Mhm.
because they had that new. I mean, basically after Endgame, it was like the world was their oyster. They had pretty much anywhere that they could go. Um, so now to be able to kind of take a step back and delve more into like these characters and say like, hey, what makes them tick? What would they do in this scenario? What makes them who they are?
Yeah.
Um, perfect example with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where it was like, okay, I mean, we kind of went into what Sam did in the Winter Soldier, where he was helping veterans and stuff like that, like, and that he had been through some stuff, but it was just kind of like, yeah, let's add a little character development there. Now he has this whole show where you see his ethics, his morals, what drives him, um, kind of really play out. Same thing with Bucky. Like you hear kind of about like him surviving because of the serum, but like you really get into it in that show.
Yeah, seriously. Um, and I mean, ultimately, maybe it's a good thing that this multiverse of madness is about to happen because let's be real. As much as we love the Avengers, if you really boil it down to it, getting the Infinity Stones and bringing everyone back to life was probably the wrong move and fucked everything all kinds of up.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of brings back the question of like, were we right?
Were you? Did you do the right thing?
Hmm.
Hmm.
I mean, even it like even in What If, like there's talk of Thanos being one of the good guys and Gamora being the the bad counterpart, being
Hmm.
the one who's trying to get rid of half of humanity. So that kind of like dichotomy is going to be really interesting to play out. I'm really excited.
It's so funny because like it now that the Avengers have done this, and then you look at the Justice League, and then I gotta bring a third party in as a just a here's a for instance to look at how superheroes act and how they should act. I look at say Dragon Ball Z. So in the Justice League team, granted the enemy picked a location away from everything, so they went out to fight them. In the Avengers, the fight is always at their doorstep. They can't really do much about it. However, in Dragon Ball Z, on the Android saga, when we get introduced to the androids, Goku makes a deal with Dr. Gero saying, I will fight you, but I don't want any other civilian people hurt. Let's take this somewhere else. Dr.
Mhm,
Gero says, okay, I can honor that because his main goal was to fight Goku in the first place. We can't,
mhm,
and then it repeats itself because Cell did the same thing. They managed to get Majin Buu away from Earth. So it's like, at the end of the day, I'm sitting here watching these two big superhero groups, and it's like, okay, but did you? I mean, yeah, you sure you saved the planet from ultimate destruction or enslavement, but at what fucking cost? God damn it! So yeah, wow. I'm more pumped up about Doctor Strange's movie now, thanks to everything that happened in Loki, for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I really like what the direction that this is headed, and it's going to be really interesting to see, like especially the way that they treat Doctor Strange. Um, like he had a great movie, but
yeah,
don't get me wrong. But to kind of see like more in depth what he's doing, and not only that, but like the not even the council, but the group that he was in, it kind of fell apart at the end of the movie.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like I kind of want to see where that goes. Like, who's he gonna trust? Who's he gonna rely on? And now that the multiverse is a thing now, what's gonna happen to their powers and their energy because they drew their power from other dimensions?
I'm very hopeful. This is my desire. This is my funny desire. I'm hopeful that they're rebuilding the sanctum, right? And then the sanctum practically shatters and starts breaking apart due to the multiverse because it's so connected to that power that it just starts crumbling again. And they're standing on the sidewalk and they're like, what the hell just happened? We were almost done. We just
Right.
got done putting the last nail in, and this shit show happens again. And then Deadpool comes up and goes, God damn it! Because they're not
I'm
allowed to
really
swear.
curious to see what's gonna happen there because Deadpool, like especially like when he was his own thing and not part of Marvel Studios and not part of the franchise, like he had a lot more liberties, and Disney is not known for doing that.
That
Like,
was
like I'm pretty sure they're in discussions to try and figure out what's going on with that
I'm really
because
glad you bring this up because this was an age-old discussion I had with people when Disney first bought out Marvel, and the reason why I was iffy and why I wasn't a full-on supporter of this. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the fact that they may been able to make such a fantastic cinematic universe is fantastic. I love it. However, flip side of that, there's a lot of things that happen within Marvel that is not Disney friendly, and the question is, will you honor that or will you destroy that? Because you've got Marvel Knights as a comic book series, which is rated R for purposes.
mm-hmm,
You got Punisher. Punisher Max has rape victims, has nudity, has people dying. They illustrate bullet holes in people's foreheads for God's sakes. You've got Wolverine in Marvel Knights and just Marvel as a whole, and he's freaking jabbing his claws up someone's jaw and they're protruding out of the top of the skull. You've got Deadpool strapping bombs to his chest, trying to garner the attention of his target, pointing a gun at a little girl on a sidewalk, saying, "If you don't fucking do what I want, I'm gonna blow this fucking little girl all over the fucking pavement."
mm-hmm.
And it's like you can't help but go, Disney, what the fuck did you do? And are you gonna fuck this up? Because this is not meant for kids. Not all of it is.
Not
And
like not only that, but like think about like some of the masterpieces that happened. Like Logan would have not been possible under
no,
Disney.
one hundred
Like
percent
there's
not.
there's no way. Like both Deadpools, especially the first one, would have not been possible under Disney. And so like
No.
it just
Ryan
and
Reynolds
even
didn't
like
he did an interview during Hall H when they first initially showed the trailer, and during the interview about talking about how it was PG-13, then rated R, PG-13, bouncing back and forth. Him and Tim both responded with, "Did you see the trailer? That would be the length of the fucking movie if we were PG-13." Like,
yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be scary. It's gonna be one of those things where it's just like uh,
Someone I used to be acquainted with once also put that this is also a way for Disney to branch out its marketing and its business so that it's not only just targeting kids but they can start getting money from the adult audience. So that did give me some hope, so I'm hoping that they honor that. People are constantly posting articles and opinionated pieces just to spur up the freaking flames of this, to talk about whether or not Deadpool is going to be rated R. And the only thing that I have ever been concerned with was an actual interview with the CEO of Disney, who literally said, it makes money rated R. Why wouldn't I honor that? I'm going to honor it and let them do them. I'm going to let the people who have run Deadpool do their thing, because They have made billions of dollars on Deadpool alone, making more than half of the MCU. All those standalone movies that aren't an Avengers movie, Deadpool alone, not a big motion picture event with big bads and shit like that, is sitting there going, "Sup, y'all? I don't need a box to stand over this fucking castle wall like Gimli. I could be like Legolas, like the rest of y'all." Like it's he
Deadpool
totally
was
wants to honor it.
yeah, Deadpool was the result of just passionate fans and passionate people in the project and out.
Yeah,
And that's like when people are like, "Oh yeah, it's about the like it's about the money." In a way, it is
yeah,
from a certain point of view, but at the same time, like that money comes as a result of passion and dedication and homework.
yeah,
So, like, I mean, credit where credit's due. I understand Disney's in it for the money. Like, it is what it is. That's how it is with any company. But like giving Deadpool the creative freedom to do that really speaks volumes.
yeah.
And I hope that they honor that from here on out.
The only reason why Once Upon a Deadpool came into existence is because Kevin Feige and CEO of Disney wanted to just see what Deadpool would look like in a PG-13 setting, and
Hmm.
they gave them the money to make the film. They did. But essentially the whole plan was, okay, but if Deadpool is going to be in a big team Avengers movie, we need to be sure this is going to look good and this is going to work. And I hope it's like that Tumblr post. It was either Tumblr or Reddit, but essentially what's going to end up happening in the Avengers movie, because Deadpool breaks the fourth wall, he understands you're only allowed one F bomb throughout the entire film, right? He's been waiting the entire film to use an F bomb, and it is just soaked in his humor throughout the entire Avengers movie until finally at the end of it they're all chilling, celebrating their victory, beating the big bad, and like Winter Soldier stubs his toe and shouts fuck, and then Deadpool looks over and goes mother, and then cut to black. End
Yeah,
credits.
I would love to see like just like randomly like in the middle of the movie someone saying the F word and he just like goes off and then he's like, dude, I was saving it for this type of occasion, and just goes on a rant for like 20 minutes. I would be here for that. I would pay money to see
And
just
the
the rant
Avengers are
itself.
like, "What the hell
What are
is
you
he
talking
talking
about?
about? Who's watching us? What's a we're a movie? What the hell are you talking about? What?" That would be
It would be nice to
great.
see them like break the fourth wall, like him actively trying to get people to break the fourth wall, and they're just like, "What are you talking about?" Like it'd be cool, like he just like grabs the camera guy and like it's like, "Who's this?" And then like you see it from their point of view, and it's just like this random cop, and Deadpool's like, "Don't fucking say this shit."
That's one of my favorite moments in Deadpool comic book history is dead presidents, and Deadpool talks to the audience, does his thing, and then the people he's teamed up with are looking at him confused and going, "Who the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?" Deadpool looks at them, and then Deadpool looks to the side, so he's got this in between the audience and them, and he goes, "Don't worry about it. There's not enough comic panel to discuss what's going on."
Mhm. Yes.
So yeah, I'm excited for the multiverse of madness. I'm excited to finally introduce the X-Men and the Fantastic Four through all of this. All thanks to Loki or Sylvie, technically, but thanks guys. You did this. You brought this on us. Um, Special announcement before we start rolling into everything to end this episode. I will be attending a premiere of Suicide Squad early access tomorrow,
Hey.
technically Thursday. So while you're all listening to this, Thursday I watched Suicide Squad. We will do an episode, next episode, talking about Suicide Squad, talking all things DC. Uh, I don't know whether or not I'm going to be like Hawkeye and not give you spoilers, or if I'm just going to say screw it and just go balls deep into this bitch. I will be your big green weenie and fuck your life up by giving you spoilers. That being said, make sure to
He's
tune
so
into the
excited
next.
about attending his first premiere. He's like, I'm gonna break all the rules that you guys have been treading through.
Shit. Thank you all for tuning in. I am your host, representing the Army as a veteran, Tom Cruise, military nerd on all social media platforms. With me is my Marine representative, Mayan Goddess.
Suck a fucking dick, motherfucker. Suck a fucking dick. Suck a fucking dick, motherfucker. Suck a fucking dick. Suck a fucking dick, motherfucker. I don't know the words.
No, that's literally those.
Hey. Okay, sorry.
We just don't have the motherfucker right now. But
Okay.
that's neither here nor there. Make sure you check us out on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, your mother's backside, YouTube. Check us out on all of our platforms. Make sure you check out Patreon. Help us out, grow us up, because right now all the proceeds of Patreon go to helping make sure these Zoom meetings can continue being over an hour. And make sure and allows us to upload episodes unlimitedly on Podbean. So if you'd like to be able to help fund posters, T-shirts, plushies of a dolphin laughing in a Wonder Woman outfit, check out Patreon. Help support our channel. Thank you all for tuning in on this amazing Loki episode. Again, Suicide Squad next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah.
Suck a fucking dick, motherfucker. Suck a fucking dick.
Motherfucker!
Suck a fucking dick, motherfucker. Suck a fucking dick.
Motherfucker!